record. I didn't hit record, as most of you know. So I'm just gonna do a quick video on what to go over for the first quiz, which will be available Friday morning, like first beginning of the day, and it drops off Tuesday night. Let me share my screen. Give me a second. All right. There, if you look on pages and you go to endocrine system, it is just the first video, right? So there's 3 videos in there. It's just the first one. All right. So let me go over this as well. And I'm going to post this PowerPoint in case any of you want it. So I'm going to ask a question from this on there. So you need to know the difference between circulating and local hormones, right? And circulate in the blood. Local hormones will circulate nearby, right? So para means near, auto means the same. So paracrine are released and they activate a cell that is nearby, right? Autocrine, it activates the same cell. And in class, I gave you example of the heart. The heart releases a hormone called ANP that slows the heart rate. And then I added this one. I should have put this in the very first lecture, but I didn't. Hormones, how hormones interact with each other, right? And it's just this, working together. Hormones can work together, or they could do opposite things. They could work against each other. And just off the top of my head, I'm thinking of, well, no, actually in class, we talked about insulin versus glucagon, right? Insulin, lowers blood sugar, and glucagon does the opposite. But just know antagonistic is one type of interaction. Permissive, well, just as it says, one hormone gives permission to the other. This is going to be the part that is going to get you the mode of action of water-soluble versus lipid-soluble hormones. This one here that you're looking at is a lipid-soluble hormone. That one's the easy one. The hormone goes in, it goes past the cell membrane into the nucleus, and it alters gene expression. In other words, it turns genes on and off. And when you do that, you either start making new proteins or you stop making proteins that you were making. That changes the behavior of the cell. The more difficult one was this whole process we had with water-soluble hormones, because they cannot enter the cell, because this membrane around the cell is made of a lipid, phospholipid bilayer. And so the water-soluble hormone binds to the receptor. This is going to be a long process, right? Water-soluble hormone binds to the receptor that's embedded in the membrane of the cell. That's going to activate the G protein. That G protein is going to activate an enzyme called adenylate cyclase. The job of this enzyme, adenylate cyclase, is to turn ATP into something called cyclic AMP or CAMP. We call this the second messenger. The first messenger is the hormone itself. Second messenger is CAMP. So anyway, CAMP activates another enzyme called protein kinase, or plural protein kinases, right? And then protein kinases are going to phosphorylate other enzymes. In other words, give energy to other enzymes. Those enzymes are going to change the behavior of the cell. So in both cases, you have a cell being changed, but they just do it differently. The lipid soluble changes gene expression. The water soluble, through a long cascade of events, is going to change the change how, activate different enzymes that are gonna change the behavior of the cell. You're gonna have to know the hormones that the anterior pituitary makes. There's 7 of them. You're gonna have to know the 2 that the posterior pituitary holds. On this slide, this is showing you the 7 hormones right here. All 7 hormones. These are the cells that make them. So there's the anterior pituitary has 5 different types of cells in them. They all end with troph. And they make 7 different types of hormones. You see down here, gonadotroph and corticotroph, they each make 2 different types of hormones, right? So there's 7 different hormones made by 5 different cells. Do memorize this, because I'll ask you about it for sure. In fact, between this slide and this slide, I'm gonna ask you on the quiz and on the exam. I usually do. So these are the cells. These are the 7 hormones that they make. But remember, the pituitary gland will not work without the hypothalamus telling it to work. So these are permissive hormones, by the way. So the hypothalamus is going to make a releasing hormone that will travel to the pituitary, anterior pituitary, and tell the anterior pituitary to make this. So growth hormone, releasing hormone, GHRH, goes to the anterior pituitary and causes it to release HGH, or just GH. PRH, prolactin releasing hormone, goes to the anterior pituitary and causes it to release prolactin. Right, so each of the hormones on, I lost it. The hormones on this side cause these hormones to be released. Again, just think abbreviations are fine, preferable, but I would like you to know in your head what they are. So, human growth hormone, prolactin, thyroid stimulating hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, just recognize it, right? Adenocorticotropin hormone and melanocyte stimulating hormone. That's what those 7 stand for. G for growth, P for prolactin, T for thyroid, G for gonads, gonadotropin releasing hormone, corticotropin releasing hormone. I want you to know which 2 have inhibiting hormones. They're right here. So if that's growth hormone releasing hormone, growth hormone inhibiting hormone, prolactin inhibiting hormone. So between these 2, yes, I'm going to ask you at least 1 question. I mean, definitely know this slide and that slide. Posterior pituitary, oxytocin, ADH. Oxytocin, uterine contractions and the letdown reflex, but especially uterine contractions. And then ADH, which is also called vasopressin. ADH causes your body to conserve water during urine production. That's what this last slide is getting to, right? So ADH is going to decrease urine output. Right here, what it says, kidneys retain more water, which decreases urine output. What am I going to, what kind of questions? I haven't thought about it yet. I have to think about it today. It's going to be timed. Look, I don't want you to not study any. I'm not saying all of you will do this, but I don't want you to not study anything. Pull up the PowerPoint that I'm posting and just get your answers from there, or go on Chegg or Course Hero. So when I'm making this test, I'm going to be thinking about that and doing whatever I can to prevent you from doing it, because I want you to study it and put it in your head. So definitely it's going to be timed. You'll have enough time to do it, but if you didn't study anything, trust me, it's not enough time. So it's going to be timed. I don't know what kind of questions yet, so just study it and learn it. It's going to be so much easier for you. You've got from tonight at midnight, 12:01, until Tuesday night at midnight. And let me know if you have any questions. Please study every day. A little bit every day is much better than cramming. I would rather study 2 hours over 2 weeks than 4 hours the day before. The 2 hours over 2 weeks is much better. All right. Let me know if you have any questions.